A biblical prophet is someone who speaks to God or a divine inspiration. This is a person that speaks for God and guides the people of Israel. I believe that Abraham Joshua Heschel was a modern day prophet because he was someone who could speak for God. He would teach people what God wanted from us and why he created us and why God needed human beings. He believed that people were able to change and that we needed to take responsibility for our actions. He was a modern day prophet because of his followers, because of his book, The Prophets. People believed in him because of what he said. They believed that he was telling the truth and that he was there to help lead them. His following grew because of his book, The Prophets. It helped with the Jewish community, and it allowed them to believe that he was there to help them, to help lead that community down the right path. Heschel was a Polish man who became an American rabbi. He was one of the leading Jewish theologians and philosophers. Heschel began to study the Talmud, a massive collection of rabbinical commentaries and debates, at the age of 8. When he was a teenager, Heschel began writing his first article about the short studies in Hebrew. When he was 17, he left home for high school in Vienna because at the time Vienna was the center of the Eastern Europe Jewish life and culture, a place for prophets, philosophers, religious speakers to go. As Heschel got older, he would experience his passion for Hinduism and Alphaism. Once he had finished high school, he attended the University of Berlin to major in philosophy and minor in art history, Semitic philology. While he was at university, Heschel attended an Orthodox rabbinical seminary. He was only a few that could attend this seminary. This helped him develop his vision of the traditional Judaism responsive to the contemporary world. Heschel was able to refine philosophical and theological categories that explain religious thinking, prophetic inspiration, and he would then go on to pass many examinations at the academy, like Hebrew language, philosophy and religion, and the Bible, Jewish history, and literature. After he passed all of his oral examinations at university, he also came out with his first book, The Inevitable Name of Man. Heschel met King when he delivered the keynote address. The two became friends and colleagues. Heschel joined the Semel March in 1965. He became one of the leaders that was in the front row next to King. He became a leader because of his book, The Prophets. The followers of King and the people that participated in the march trusted Heschel and thought he was an iconic power to help lead. They thought he was a strong person to help lead the march, and they had great trust in him because of his Prophets book. When Hitler was gaining his power, Heschel was graduating university and was writing his first book. He did not have much of an opinion when Hitler was starting to gain his power. He was trying He was trying to teach American students about Hebrew. He said that it was not the same as teaching the students in Germany. The students in Germany understood the Hebrew text easier, but when the Holocaust was happening, he had to leave to be safe. Just 6 weeks before Germany took over Poland, Heschel left for America to teach in New York. Now, when he talks about the Holocaust, he introduces himself as someone that was able to leave the country he was born in before the disaster began. While he introduces himself, he says that he was a brand that was plucked from the fire in which my people was burned to death. He does not talk much about the Holocaust in the reading. It talks more about what he says when he introduces himself to the group that he is giving a seminar to 6 years later, about how he was the only one of his family that survived, and that he was not taken to the Holocaust, to the camps. The Vietnam War disturbed Heschel because of the bombings that were happening in Vietnam. In 1966, Heschel helped form a clergy and concerned about the war. He would end up having the organization sponsor a demonstration against the war in Washington, D.C. April 4th, 1967, King publicly announced his opposition to the Vietnam War, and Heschel decided that it was his opportunity to clearly state his own justification for condemning the U.S. prosecution of the illegal war. Heschel's involvement with the anti-war movement brought him to have many associations, like William Sloane Coffin. Heschel was not affected by the war because he was able to grow a following with the Jewish community and create friendships. He was against two forms of moral apathy that caused by indifference and that caused by desperation at the difficulty of affecting major social attitudinal change in deeply integrated and industrialized racist attitudes and behaviors. He would offer his clearest connections between religion, politics, sanity, and social activism. How the relationships between God and human beings is not only of creator to creator, but one of the mutual partnerships. God is in need of human beings. He would go on to talk about how humans can be cruel and cause misery, but we use our conscience by cultivating indifferences. That we are all responsible for our actions, and that he believed that there is connections between religion and politics, sanity and social activism. That we do things in our religion to gain a following in politics, or telling ourselves it is okay that we just did something against our morals. He believed that we should take responsibility for our actions.